And we're back. Another week. But we're back to normal, actually. We're back to normal. I've returned. Good
So,
evening, everyone.
good evening, good evening.
Nick and Ron here again.
Yes, welcome back to everyone, each and every one of you.
And this week is our actual podcast episode. Okay? So, welcome to episode 22 of Legacy of the King. And, at the beginning, when we started, I would have never thought that we would have gotten to 22 episodes. For some people, they're already at 300 and something, but just the mere fact that we stuck to it and we're at 22 now, I feel a sense of accomplishment with that. So everyone, thanks for sticking with us throughout. For the ones that have stuck with us, thank you so
Yes,
much.
Thanks. We
Okay.
really appreciate it.
Yeah, we really, really do.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay, so let's just get the formalities out of the way first before we go into the topic and everything. As you all know, we are available on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, obviously YouTube. So make sure if you enjoy what you're hearing, enjoy what you're seeing, and you like the topics that we're talking about, make sure like, subscribe, share with a friend, leave a review, leave a comment, give us ideas, anything. We'll appreciate the feedback. All right. So ready to get into it?
Yeah.
All right. So episode 22. Today's episode is how habits can affect your life.
Habits, right?
I have some bad habits. I'm not even going to beat around the bush or try to deny anything. I have bad habits.
Don't we all? But how many of us admit that we have bad habits?
Not many of us admit that we have bad habits. And how many of us try to outweigh the bad habits with good habits?
Yeah.
And that's what we want to talk about today. Because we would have spoken about habits in episode 20. And in episode 20, we spoke about how, as much as we would love to, we can't get rid of habits.
And in my short episode last week, I also spoke about habits.
Right.
Just to reiterate on episode 20 again.
Right. So guys, last week's episode, it's not that I wasn't here. I was here. I was just behind the camera this time.
He was hiding.
I wasn't hiding, right? I wasn't hiding. I was directing. Sometimes you need to learn in front and behind the camera, So I was just directing last week, right? But I'm back in front of the camera. Okay?
Yes. So last week's episode was again something a little different, something that we trying to switch it up a little bit. And bring something fresh and something new again to you guys.
Exactly. We're trying to continue to innovate as best as we can in the circumstances that we are in.
Yes. So let's get right into it again.
Right. Habits.
So as I would have mentioned, how many of us are aware of bad habits? Then the next thing that goes with that, as you rightfully mentioned, how many of us are willing to make the change to override the bad habits and develop new good habits?
This would surprise you when I see this. But I think a lot of people are very much aware of their bad habits, The thing is a lot of us don't want to get rid of it or put it in the background.
Mm.
We are very comfortable with our bad habit. In some cases, we're comfortable, I should say. But in other cases, I also think that there's some sort of block that's preventing us from moving forward from that bad habit, moving on from that bad habit. Because, like we would have spoken about in episode 20, habits are they're like a loop, a feedback loop. There's some sort of cue that causes you to begin the habit. And then there's some sort of reward at the end of doing the habit. Now, after the reward, depending on whether the habit is good or bad, will determine how we feel. And a lot of the times, let's say it's a bad habit, for instance. Okay, we get the cue, we commit the act, we get the reward, and then after that, it's like, damn it, shouldn't be doing that,
The guilt,
the guilt comes in. I shouldn't be doing that.
and in some cases, shame.
Yeah, in some cases, shame. But for some reason, we just can't overcome that habit. And the opposite to that is when the habit is good. So, take for example, we. What's a good habit? Let's think of a good habit. What's a good habit? Let's say reading, for instance.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that you had one.
I was gonna say something.
Okay, yeah.
Um,
What's habit? Yeah.
Waking up early
Hmm.
to be productive.
Hmm. That is a good habit. That's a really good habit. So yeah. So let's talk about waking up early. Try to be productive.
And the reason why I said that, and I think you know, is because sometimes we fall into that category.
All the time I fall, and not even sometimes. I fall into that category all the time. All the time.
Yeah, so
But when you get it,
I
here's
try
the
to
thing.
bring it home.
Yeah, but here's the thing, when you get it, like for example, let's see, I think it was a Wednesday morning. I think it was Wednesday morning. Wednesday morning, I got up early. I think I got up like about 5 o'clock or something like that. Right? And I prayed. Then I opened my planner. I looked at my affirmations for the day and everything, and I looked at what I had to do for the day and everything, and I went in the kitchen. I put on my music because I like to listen to lo-fi hip hop
Hmm.
on mornings. Just chill, just to wake me up slowly,
Right.
So put on the lo-fi hip hop. I went in the kitchen, turned on the espresso machine, made some coffee, sat by my desk, sat down, opened the computer, um, worked on the website I'm building, and after that, I felt so good just knowing that I was so productive in that let's say hour before I had to go to work.
Mm.
Ask me to do it again, huh? Ask me to do it the next day, like right after. Problems, class, like you feel so good, that like why could do this again? And then what happens? You go to sleep late. You
Hmm.
go to sleep like 1:30 or something for no reason. You don't have to go to sleep so late, but you just go to sleep late, and then you wake up 5:30 or 6 o'clock. So you have to hurry. You can't do the lo-fi hip hop. You can't go
Mm-hmm.
and do the espresso. You can't take the
You can't
planner.
take your
You
time.
can't take your time. And it's like, damn it. Because the bad habit of waking up late is already there. You actually have to put effort into getting up early.
Yeah.
Even though getting up early it felt good. Just the habits that cause you to go to sleep late that eventually bring the not only waking up late, but feeling sleepy while waking up late. So it's
Waking up
like
tired. You waking
waking
up
up
tired.
tired. So like it's almost like you didn't even sleep.
Yeah.
And you know it's bad for you. I know it's bad for me, but I still do it
Yep. And now you're putting yourself under pressure for no reason.
for no reason.
For no reason. We all suffer with things like that. Something simple as in that very same example, maybe the reason going to bed late is because you're going on social media and you're spending hours
Mm-hmm.
just looking at unnecessary
Mm-hmm.
nonsense.
Yeah. And also comes back to intention again. When you're not intentional about your life, right? There's no planner, there's no foresight about what we're going to do the next day or for that week or for that month for that matter. We're just, like we've said in previous episodes, existing.
Mm-hmm.
Chances are bad habits will creep in because we're trying to fill the empty space that we didn't occupy intentionally. So something that is of no benefit to us will get our attention, and then we're going to go down the rabbit hole into that, and we're going to keep doing it all over and over until it becomes a habit. And now we have to try all kinds of things to get over this bad habit.
Yeah. And bad habits just have a way almost always being there, like on the underlying
Man,
surface, just waiting for you to slip.
man, bad habits are so stubborn. Bad habits are so stubborn. You know, when you have a miserable child, you tell the child to do something, and the child asks you why. Because I say so. Well, you didn't give me a good reason, mommy. Why? The only difference is that eventually children learn. Habits don't learn. Habits just there.
Hmm.
So I think what we should try to explore in this episode is how we could overcome the bad habit, because we can't get rid of it.
Right.
It's literally hardwired into our brain. We can't get rid of it. So how can we
Replace it.
replace it? How can we overcome? Not, but
It's
not
not really
even replace,
replacing,
but like,
yeah.
how could we put it into the background? How can we put it on the back burner so we don't focus on that and we focus on the new habit that we're trying to build? How could we do that? And I think that is what we should try to explore in this episode,
Agreed.
because I think a lot of us are struggling with bad habits, and I know a lot of us are really trying to get better. I wouldn't try to say that, especially the people that listen to us or that watch our episodes, I would say that all of them are trying to get better. But how do we go about getting to that point?
And I would also like to add at this point that sometimes it seems that there are more bad habits than good. It
Ye-
seems so.
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't say that there are more bad habits than good. I think it's more along the lines of bad habits are more satisfying in the short term. You get
And
instant gratification from bad habits.
and for some reason we tend towards more the bad habits.
Yeah, because you get
Because
the
of that
reward so
gratification.
early. You
Yeah,
get the reward almost right away.
Correct.
Yeah, you get your reward also almost right away. Like take for example, like the habit of, because alcoholism is a habit, right? What is the reward of alcoholism? The nice
The nice
head,
head,
the
the feeling,
vibes,
yeah.
the feeling, right?
That's euphoric
Yeah, and you drink and
feeling.
the kind of, you throw caution to the wind, all the inhibitions just disappear, and you
Yes.
feel invincible for about an hour.
If so long.
That's so long.
It's-
And before you know it, you're not in a drain.
or you're waking up with a headache.
Or you wake up with a headache. And I
Or,
think honestly,
or in the wrong place. Like
or you're in the wrong place. Like, why am I here? And who is this person? that that I think that's worse.
like the movie Hangover.
Yeah, that's worse. Like, why do I have a face tattoo?
Yeah. Why did I marry a
Why did I marry
prostitute?
a prostitute? Like, yeah, like and I think that was one habit that that I never got into that. I don't say that I don't drink alcohol. I drink alcohol, but on occasion,
Socially.
social, like sometimes. But when I,
Within reason.
yeah, but I think
Not overdoing it.
why I've never gotten drunk, and a lot of people in online might say, I'm lying because a 33-year-old guy has never gotten drunk. But I'll tell you why I've never gotten drunk. I've never gotten drunk because I saw my track teammates in college get drunk during spring break. I can laugh at it now, but at that point in time, I was actually scared
Hmm.
because they got drunk to the point where they vomited everything until they couldn't vomit no more, but they still needed to vomit. So we had to go and find water to bring it up so they could drink it so they could vomit. And then the next day, hangover, and it's bad, bad. Like they can't see the light, they can't this, but we have to leave. Like
Mhm.
spring break is over, we have to leave. And they like all of them in hoodies, they can't look at the light, and the sun is up
Shades and
as
stuff.
shades and stuff. It's like 9 o'clock in the morning. So the sun
Beaten.
beaten. And when I saw that happen to them, I immediately said, I will never get drunk. I'll never get drunk. And I kept that promise. I've I've been drinking alcohol since I was 18. But there's a limit. There's a point where okay, you get a little head, you get tipsy,
Mhm.
that's it. Water the rest of the night. I don't ever want to have that feeling. And sometimes just the thought of the bad feeling in some cases stops you from even beginning the habit. But in other cases, that bad feeling doesn't come. But the
Mhm.
habit's still bad.
Yeah.
The habit is still detrimental.
Because as you know, all of us have different degrees or levels of tolerance.
Hmm.
So your level of reaching to the tipsy aspect may be different to mine. I may have a higher capacity.
Right. But even in the case of tolerance, you know how much you could drink
Right.
until you're tipsy level.
Correct.
There's some people who will reach tipsy and like they just look over the tipsy cliff and like the tipsy cliff over the tipsy cliff looking actually kind of nice.
Yeah.
And they go over. They go over without hesitation. And that is the problem. And then we have so many people like, well, you know where I live. you've you've heard some of the the performances during drinking sessions in my area. No, listening to it is funny, but if you think of it in the grand scheme of things, is actually sad. Just knowing that a lot of these guys, they have children, they have families, they have jobs, they have potential, and a lot of the time and energy is going toward alcohol
Mm-hmm.
or other things.
Mm.
That's the difficult aspect of habits, like on the extreme level. Like you have, like one of my, like you have these simple habits. Like one of my horrible habits is like biting my nails. I bite my nails a lot, and like I bite my nails sometimes to the point where it bleeds. Like it's a
Okay,
bad habit,
that's
and
rather
I've
bad.
and I've and I've had it since I was what 7 years old, and I've tried to stop many times. There was a point in time where I wasn't biting my nails, and my nails grew back really nice.
Mm.
But then I started back, and I'm trying to get over it. Like I'm being conscious of it, but sometimes, like for me, what triggers mine is like if I'm when I'm thinking, I bite my nails. So that's all the time.
Yeah. For me, some of the bad habits growing up was sleeping in late.
Mm,
All lunchtime, I waking up close to lunchtime, maybe sometimes after lunch, I waking up. And that's because I used to game late in the night. As soon as you come home from work, from school or work, just go on the computer and game for hours, hours on end without discipline,
yeah,
without knowing when to cut off.
yeah,
And it had adverse effects.
mhm,
Not only waking up late, but after basically missing the whole day, the next day, you're waking up tired, one. Two, you're grumpy, you're non productive, and then you're waiting in mind for later on in the evening to do the same thing again.
mm,
So is it could end up in an endless cycle and endless loop, as you said.
yeah,
And we that's the point where you have to come to the recognition of it, confront it, and again put in things on how to change it or how to override it.
right. So I think the first aspect of overcoming habits. So say solution number one is realizing you have a bad habit, or admitting to yourself that you have a bad habit or you have a problem. Regardless of what it is, we don't have to get into the details of what the habit could be. But the first step to, to overriding a bad habit is realizing that you have one.
Mm-hmm.
And once we get to that point, then we can move on to the others. So everyone, regardless of what your habit is, what the bad habit is, you know what your bad habit is. The first step is admitting that it's a habit, admitting that it's a problem, almost an addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Admitting that to yourself is the first step to healing from that problem. Because, like we said at the beginning, a lot of us don't want to admit that something is wrong with us. It's okay to say something is wrong with you. That is acknowledging that you want to get better. We have to acknowledge, like, no, because a lot of us don't even listen to other people. But the first person you should listen to is yourself, and
Correct.
not your, and not the, and you have to understand how multi-layered we are as human beings.
Mm-hmm.
Your addiction is not you. You are not your addiction. You are something much more powerful and a lot older than that addiction or that habit. And that is who you have to listen to. When you listen to that, is when things begin to change.
And you mentioned we are multi-layered and that we are older than the habits and what seems to be. Some people may not know tangibly what that means. So I'll seek to add a little more insight into it. So our minds talk to us, our minds tell us what certain things, our thoughts, we have thoughts. So your mind may tell you this or that. Sometimes we ignore it. And because we think that we know better, like, nah, forget that. Then when we do what we want, we end up in problems. As one aspect. And that's just basically a summary. The other aspect is your body talks to you and tells you what it needs, what it wants at specific times. Sometimes you get that gut feeling, intuition. Sometimes you don't listen to either, and again end up in problems. A good example is diet. Every day, you claim you don't have time to cook healthy food in particular. You don't have time to go to the grocery to buy the healthy food. So you have this lifestyle where that you have yourself created, where you only go all the time, always hustling here and there. You don't have time to make anything. So you just leave the house first thing in the morning. You're buying a set of coffee that have a set of sugar and milk in it. You end up with sinusitis. You end up with diabetes. You end up with a whole set of other diseases, lifestyle diseases. Then, to add insult to injury, you're buying a set of, well, for our Trini culture, you're buying a set of fry bake, you're buying a set of sada roti, you're buying a set of pies. So that's flour, that's gluten again, right? Which also affects your sinus.
For those who are affected by
Who are
gluten, of
affected,
course.
yes, correct. Other than that, the oils in these things have plenty cholesterol, plus the other stuff that they ingest in as well. Then that's breakfast alone. Lunchtime now, you go out, you're buying Chinese food, you're buying KFC, you're buying all the fast food stuff. And you're just piling up things. Then you might want a snack afterwards. So you're eating, well, I don't want to call the names, but you're eating a whole bunch of junk on top of what you already had. And then sometimes you might have to travel home. So you complain when somebody tells you, let me go gym, let me go and run, let me think, nah, I had to reach home and think for the day and next day and blah, blah, blah. So you're going home and you're being lazy. On top of that, when you reach home now or traveling in maxi taxi or public transport, you're on your phone watching TikTok videos, you're watching Facebook, you're watching IG, and you're just scrolling. And it's like nothing. Just because you have free time, you just decide to, you know, and then reach home now. You do the same thing again. You're scrolling until your eyes just get weary and then you fall asleep. Same thing repeats the next day. And you just end up in the loop, in the cycle of being unhealthy.
or just existing.
or just existing.
And yeah, that comes back to what I said at the beginning, where we spoke about intention. The only way you take control of your life is when you become intentional about your life. And it's only then that when you hear the habit calling out to you, because like I said, we are very multi-layered. Our minds are so intricate.
Mm-hmm.
It still can't be mapped. And sometimes we don't even know where some of these things come from.
Indeed.
But one thing we do know is that those things are here. They're very much there. And the only way I believe that we could overcome those things is beginning or learning to live our lives with intention.
Intentionally.
Because once we figure out what we want to do or where we want to go in life, we will be very much intentional, and therefore the routines that we build will be very much different to the ones that we have right now. Because I could use your examples.
Mm-hmm.
Someone says, let's go to the gym, and you say you can't go to the gym. However, they spend their time on the platform. Okay, let me explain this because we have international viewers as well.
Yes.
When I say the platform, so our main hub in the capital city of Trinidad and Port of Spain, our main transport hub is called Citygate. And there are different platforms where you could get different maxi taxis, which are like small buses that would take you to different parts of Trinidad. So platform one is one route, platform two is another route or whatever. So that's why I said you're waiting on platform for your transport. While you're waiting on the platform, sometimes because of the amount of people, you might have to wait for like three maxis pass and you still can't get one.
Mm-hmm.
So while you're waiting on the platform, you spent about an hour and a half on the platform. And while you're there, you're scrolling through social media. And not social media content that can help you. Like cats drinking milk. Or let's say you're into football, soccer. Something that Messi would have done with PSG or something. When that same hour and a half that you wasted on the platform could have been in some gym in Port of Spain, because there isn't only one gym, there are maybe about three gyms in Port of Spain
Mm-hmm.
that you could go to and begin on the journey of a healthy lifestyle. But you don't realize that it's not a matter of not having time. It's more of a matter of poor management of time. It's not that you don't have the time to cook. Your time is poorly prioritized.
Yes.
And I'm saying your, but I really mean I'm talking to myself included.
Us.
Us.
Yes.
Because okay, yes, we do go to the gym. However, we still have other habits that we say that we don't have time to get over, but we find time to do other things.
Correct. Correct.
And that is where the issue is. We act as though we act as though we don't have time. We have all the time in the world. Everyone has 24 hours. That's what we do with 24 hours.
I was just about to say that. We all have the same 24 hours.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, acknowledge that you have a problem. That's number one. Number two, begin to we're not even talking about the habit yet. Begin to intentionally plan your life. So we talk about the habit in the first one, like you acknowledge you have a habit. But in terms of dealing with the habit, we're not talking about dealing with the habit yet. We have to figure out, okay, we have to intentionally plan the life, right? Okay, how it is that we want to live. Not everyone is going to be an entrepreneur. Some people enjoy their jobs, some people enjoy doing whatever it is that they do. Okay? But outside of that, how do you want to live your life? Because one of the things that you do not want to have at the end of it is regrets. You don't want to have regrets at the end of your life. So, how do we begin to live life intentionally? Knowing what it is exactly that we want to do with our lives. Because we didn't come here to just lime and hang out and party and drink and have fun and then die. We were born for a reason,
Contrary to some belief.
contrary to some belief. We were born for a reason, and we weren't born to just have children either. One of the things that we as humans love is the hero story or the legend story. And when we were growing up as children, man, woman, doesn't matter. When we were growing up as children, we loved the hero story. Now, as an adult or as a teenager, whatever your age while watching this, I want you to know that you are the hero or the legend of your own story. And in order for your story to end the way you want it to end, you have to write your own story. Don't let anybody else write it for you. You need to write your own story. And once you write your own story, that is when we could get to number three.
Before we get on to number 3, I just want to add that that culture that there was of growing up where everybody liked the hero and the hero stories, it has now created another culture whereby we're looking for, we always, in almost every aspect, every sphere, we're looking for some type of savior.
Yeah.
That savior mentality, for some kind of handout, for something, for somebody to give you something.
Yeah. We're looking for someone to hold our hands and take us to safety, take us to the promised land, take us wherever.
Yeah,
Right? The savior that you're looking for is at the other end of your arm.
correct. It's at the tip of your palm.
The savior you're looking for is you. That statement might be controversial for some, but you need to understand that unless you help yourself, no one is going to help you. You will be used without remorse.
Yes.
So understand that you are the hero, the savior that you are looking for in your life. It's all about your mindset. Your mindset needs to change. Your mindset has to change. Our mindset has to change. If we want to live the life that we're looking to live, that we want to live, or that a lot of people say we wish we had, because a lot of us like to wish. Let's stop wishing and start planning. which is number 3, by the way.
So right, so we could get to doing.
Exactly. So, planning. How do we plan our life? Well, like I said in the first instance, we have to be intentional about our lives. We have to figure out what it is that we want.
Mhm.
And once we figure out what it is that we want, then we could plan. So, planning starts with 5 years. You have to start with a 5-year plan. Okay, where do I want to be in 5 years? Okay, I want to be here. Okay, good. What do I need to do to get to here in 5 years? So
The
now
steps.
you have to break it down year by year.
Mhm.
So I want to be here at year 1, at the end of year 1, here at the end of year 2, here at the end of year 3, and so on until year 5. All right, we've gotten to that. So let's break down year 1.
Even further.
And then we break it down by the months.
Mhm.
Then we break it down by the weeks,
Mhm.
and then the days, and then the hours. So we stop at the hours, we're not going to minutes and seconds. Right? But when you do that, now you are forcing yourself to build new habits because you're structuring your days.
Mhm. You're basically looking at your life as you know it under a more detailed lens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you're structuring your days now. And because you're structuring your days, the way in which you use your time is going to be different. And because you're using your time differently, the bad habits that you had, it's going to be hard for you to do them
Mhm.
because now you're trying to build new habits because there's a life that you want to get at the end of 5
Right.
years.
You have a plan that you have in mind of where you want to be.
Exactly. So we are at number 3,
3.
which is planning. So we've planned. And number 4 is to execute.
Mhm.
Now, the planning aspect, remember, it's not just talking about it. You have to write it down. And where you wrote that down, you have to keep it with you every single place that you go.
Yep.
You have to have it there all the time, constantly reminding yourself that this is what it is that I want, and this is what I have to do on a daily basis to get what I want 5 years from now. And once you have that written down, then we could execute.
Indeed. And at this point, I'd like to mention that something came to mind there.
Mm.
Affirmations.
Yeah.
It's all well, nice, and good to have affirmations, but I would say affirmations don't work if you're just saying it and you're not willing to implement and put things in place to achieve them.
Exactly. Affirmations don't work if you don't.
It makes no sense sticking up a bunch of, how you call it, feel good phrases and expressions and
Right.
all these little things here and there around your workstation, in some cases around wherever you are, your workspace, or even in your vehicle, and even posting them on your social media pages or so, and you're not doing anything about it. It just sounds good.
Mhm. I would also like to mention that there's some of us listening who don't quote unquote believe in affirmations. So let me just say, affirmations are not any kind of mystical um, mumbo jumbo. Affirmations are just, it's just a nice way of saying that you intentionally talk to yourself good. You say good things to yourself. That's all an affirmation is. Instead of saying, "Oh gosh, I'm looking old. Oh gosh, I'm feeling tired. Oh gosh."
All the heaviness
Heavy,
and
heavy. Oh yeah, you're just bringing all the heaviness onto you. No. What you're going to do is that when you wake up in the morning, you're going to tell yourself, I am healthy, I am strong, I am vibrant,
Yes.
I am wealthy, I am fulfilled. Things like that. Those are the things that you're telling yourself good things.
Yeah.
What is wrong with telling yourself good things?
Correct.
Because people assume that when we say things about ourselves that it doesn't appear in our lives. But just look at how your life is. Tell me that you've been saying horrible things to yourself
And you see good things happen.
and good things happening to you. If that's happening to you, all the more power to you. I give you props. But I could tell you that when I say bad things to myself, bad things happen.
Yeah.
So I try my best to avoid that.
As I've learned, what you think about, you bring about.
Mm-hmm. Thoughts are things that have wings.
Yes. Yes, they do have weight. They have space.
So uh, be mindful of your self talk. Okay, be mindful of your self talk. Do
And
not, please, do not say bad things to yourself about yourself.
yes, and affirmations also are a way of helping you to introduce positivity into your life.
Exactly, exactly. And when you begin introducing positivity into your life, all aspects of your life become positive.
Exactly. And things begin to change for the better.
Yeah, including your circle. By
Correct.
the way, the people that you hang around will start to change, and you wonder why this person who you've been friends with for years is all of a sudden distant. Nothing is really wrong with you. It's just that you're changing the way in which you live your life.
Yeah.
And because you're changing the way in which you live your life, unless your circle is changing with you, you will leave them behind.
Exactly. As the saying goes, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yep.
We need to shed old habits, old, basically things that no longer serve you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So in terms of execution, like Nick said, begin with affirmations, but in order to for these things to have a positive effect in your life, you have to do the work. And the work comes from the plan that you made in step 3. So now you have to do. So that plan that you wrote down, make sure and execute on that plan every single day. And make sure that there's a reward in the short term. So every short term goal that you set, make sure there's a reward at the end of it. So let's say at the end of the day, you would have liked to go to the gym. Let's say you have a job where you do going through spreadsheets. You would have entered, let's say, 100 new entries into the spreadsheet. That was the goal. You did it. You went to the gym. You meal prepped for the week. Things like that. At the end of that day, make sure and give yourself a reward. Whatever the reward is. Let's say like Chips Ahoy. That the reward be like 2 cookies or 3 cookies or something.
A serving size.
A serving size. Make sure and check the serving size of
don't,
those people, because
don't overdo it.
some people would take the whole like 2 racks.
Yeah. Turn into
Not,
Cookie Monster.
not 2 racks of Chips Ahoy, please. Right? No Cookie Monster vibes, please. Okay?
Oh,
Small.
some people like ice cream.
Some people like ice cream. Some people like wine. Maybe a glass of wine could be a reward.
But again,
No,
don't overdo.
but remember, like, this is where the whole management. Well, if alcoholism wasn't the thing, but then the wine is not really an issue,
Right.
right? But like, if alcoholism was your thing and you want a thing, then your reward should never be alcohol.
Yes.
Let it be something else. Like, let it be like chocolate or something. You know, find something else. Okay. Yeah. So small rewards, so that you don't feel as if okay, I'm just doing this, I'm not seeing anything. Like, give yourself some rewards for accomplishing things. So now you're actually feeling accomplished in building the new habits
On every step.
in every single step. So at the end of that week, you would have completed certain things that you set out for the week. You've done it. Then you give yourself a bigger reward because you were able to stay on track for that week. And if you're able to do it for that month, an even bigger reward. Let's say at the end of the month, you were able to, let's say you wanted to write your first novel and you finished like 2 chapters of that novel. Buy yourself a watch, buy yourself a new pair of shoes, take a trip, a small vacation, something. Reward yourself for actually staying on track, and that will keep motivating you over time.
Yeah.
So I think that's number 5. Reward yourself. So
At small steps.
yeah,
On each step of the way.
yeah, reward yourself along the way. And I think once we do that, we could begin to actively create new habits and put the bad habit
In sleep mode.
in sleep mode. But remember, we didn't delete the habit, it's just in sleep mode. So if you slip, the habit could come back.
You might slide.
If you slip,
You might slide.
right. So I think 5 is good. So
And I would even say 5.5.
5.5 with the disclaimer.
Yes, correct. Because you always have to be mindful that the old habits are still there.
Yeah. And as we know, old habits die hard.
Indeed.
So
Indeed.
so
So if you know, for example, if you go down a particular dark alley, you're going to be tempted. Don't go down the alley.
please don't go down the alley. Don't say, nah, strong enough now. I could resist.
Nope.
Never works.
Nope.
Take it from me. It never works.
And me.
It never works. Okay.
Yes.
So I think we could recap. We could recap them.
Yeah.
So number 1. Now before I get to number 1, let me see what we do. So these are the 5 steps to overcoming bad habits.
Bad habits.
So number 1, acknowledge that you have a bad habit. Okay? Acknowledge you have a bad habit. Number 2, figure out what it is that you want out of life. Number 3, plan that life that you want, preferably a 5-year plan. So we go in 5-year increments. So create a 5-year plan to build the life that you want. Number 4, execute. Number 5, reward yourself along the way. And 5.5, old habits die hard.
Indeed.
So I think that's it. I think we had a good conversation. Actually,
Yes.
had nothing prepared. Like this came, everything that we spoke about just came off the top. So that was good because I really didn't know what I wanted to talk about. So
But-
that's good.
I mean, as usual, we're talking from experience.
That is true. That is true.
And you could learn as much as you like theoretically,
Yeah.
but experience is the best teacher.
Yeah. That is true.
So, another short and sweet conversation.
Yeah, I can't complain.
Same here. All right. So, thanks again for joining us, guys, for yet another conversation. So, we want to remind you guys again of our presence on social media And gonna tell them again, just to remind them.
Yes. So we are available on Google Podcast, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. Right,
Ticker
you see it
at the
coming on the
bottom.
ticker at the bottom somewhere right there.
Yeah.
You understand, right? As you could also see right in, is it this corner there? That one?
Yeah,
that corner right there. Right there.
Yes.
You see our IG handle, like I said, the King_official IG.
Yes, and the rest of our handles, our social media handles, are down in the description below.
Yep. And that's it.
So take care, guys.
It was amazing. Nice talking to you all again. See you all
In the next one.
in the next one. Take care.
Take care.